Chapter 11. Talon drifted in and out of pain as Smil carried her away from the Draconians' camp. She could see the blood on her shoulder and the charred skin on her wrist, where the Draconians had tortured her. Yet all the pain centered on her face from the explosion that hit Smil. Hopefully there would be a cleric in Mountain Home who could help them. Smil did not try to talk to Talon as she ran. Talon was very grateful for that small mercy, as she didn't have the energy to form words. She focused on trying to recall everything the Draconians had said. They were looking for a treasure in Mountain Home. Talon knew of the town. It was much like Forest Edge, a small, obscure village set higher in the Vanguard Mountains. If there was a treasure there, Talon had certainly never heard tell of it. But the Draconians were convinced that something was at the village, something valuable. Smil's pace slowed as the sun came up, then stopped entirely. They'd been running half the night. Reluctantly, Talon opened her eyes. They were on a thin dirt path that cut up the mountainside between thick trees. Talon could see a few houses ahead on either side of the path. They were built closer together as the path wound upward. "Who goes there?" a voice rang out in the still morning air. "Don't move." Talon and Smil both looked around. Smil soon focused on something Talon could not see. The dragon must have keener senses than she did. Talon didn't see anything but a tall stand of trees, but she addressed the voice in that direction. "I am Talon of Forest Edge. My companion is a bronze dragon. We've come to warn your village." "Warn us? Of what?" The voice now seemed more concerned. Smil turned her head. "There are 4 of them," she murmured to Talon. "Where? I can't see them." Talon scanned the trees and rocks in frustration. "Just trust me," Smil said. "Now explain to the guard before we get shot." Talon glared at Smil, then turned back to where she thought the guard was. "I was captured by Draconians about a half a day's journey to the north. This dragon fought them, but at least 3 escaped, and there may be others. They plan to attack your village and steal your treasure." The trees and rocks seemed to come alive. 4 people, all armed with bows and dressed in green and gray, to blend with the foliage, strode from their hiding places. While 3 of them kept their bows trained on Talon, the 4th, a young man, perhaps a year or 2 older than Talon, with freckled skin, walked toward them, with his weapon lowered. Tufts of red hair stuck out from underneath his leather cap. As he walked toward them, he took off the cap and showed out his shockingly bright red curls. "No wonder he wears that cap," Smil whispered to Talon. "Even you could have spotted him without it." Talon stealthily grinned and hushed the dragon. The boy was getting closer enough to hear them. "I am Malot, Rikwash, one of the guards of Mountain Home. Did you say Draconians are planning to come here?" Talon nodded. "They seek a treasure here. They—" Talon found herself growing weak and limp. Breathing heavily, she leaned against Smil. "Do you have a healer here?" Smil asked. "A cleric? My companion is hurt, as am I. I do not know if you will treat a dragon, but—" "Of course we will treat a dragon," Malot said, bowing deeply to Smil. Talon and Smil both started. "You are most welcome here, benevolent bronze creature. May we have the honor of knowing your name?" Smil looked as completely taken aback as Talon was. Not even Palanthas had Talon ever seen such an attitude towards dragons. This boy regarded Smil as though she were royalty. The other 3 had the same respectful, almost reverent manner. "I am Smil," the dragon said after a long moment. "Welcome to Mountain Home, Smil," said one of the other guards. "We shall escort you and your friend to our village, where you may rest as long as you like." "We're not—" both Talon and Smil began, but their protests were lost as the 4 humans bustled about them. They lifted Talon onto a makeshift stretcher formed by a blanket and 2 branches, and began to carry her up the path. Malot beckoned for Smil to follow. "Do you have strength enough to talk?" Malot asked Talon. "Your injuries appear grave, yet you seem more alert than many people I have seen with lesser wounds." Talon looked at Smil, and an unspoken question passed between them. Smil blinked slowly, and Talon sighed. She supposed they couldn't treat her or the dragon adequately without knowing the details of their plight. "The dragon and I are under a spell. What happens to her, I feel. What happens to me, she feels." Malot looked from dragon to girl, then dragon again. "The dragon feels your pain, and you feel hers?" "Yes, we were traveling to Palanthas to find more about the smell, and how to undo it. Then the Draconians found me." More on this spell later, said the man pulling the Travis. Tell us all you heard from the Draconians. Talon told him what she remembered, which was not much. Still, it seemed to be enough for the men, who began discussing the defense of the village. They stopped at a small, neat cottage just off the trail. Talon, this is my family's house, Malad said. While we have no cleric, you will find my mother is an excellent healer. He turned to Smil. We have a villager who knows something of dragon medicine. He shall tend to you. We can also offer you some of our finest livestock. I know it isn't what you're used to, but we get few fish up here. Talon's mouth dropped open. These people were giving Smil their animals? Smil considered this offer for a time to blink one bronze eyelid, then followed one of the men up the mountain, where the land leveled out into a field dotted with cattle. The men pulled Talon to the cottage door and knocked. The door swung open, revealing a thin, older woman with bright red hair tied in a rough bun. Her freckled hands flew to her mouth when she saw Talon's injuries. Mother, this is Talon. She came here with a bronze dragon. Malott nodded to the two men, who led the Travis down gently, then walked back in the direction they had come, probably to resume their guard post. A bronze dragon? You are a lucky girl indeed. I've had nothing but bad luck since that dragon came into my life, Talon said. Nonsense, the woman retorted. Dragons such as that make the best companions. Let's get you to where old Anna can tend to you. Yana and Malott lifted Talon as though she weighed no more than a house cat and carried her to a cot by the fire. Malott, go help the others tend to that dragon, Yana said, examining Talon's wounds. I can handle the girl. Malott nodded to Talon and left the cottage, gathering a few herbs on his way out the door. Yana pulled a bit of Talon's robe out of a dried wound, bracing herself for a scream or at least a wince, but none came. Child, what is the matter? Didn't that hurt? She poked the burn around Talon's wrist. Talon shook her head. As Yana washed her wounds carefully with warm water that smelled strongly of raspberries, Talon told her all that had befallen her. The dragon saw this pendant. Talon showed the necklace to Yana, who flashed a quick glance at it and returned to her work, and assumed that I had something to do with her mother because her mother gave her an identical one. When I fitted the pieces together, our pain was swapped. What happens to me, she feels, and I feel hers, and both of our magic has stopped working. We were trying to go to Palanthas to ask Elliston about the necklace. Yana stopped cleaning one of the Talon's wounds and peered at her. We know Elliston's name, even here. You wear the robes of a cleric. Do you heal dragons? The question was so absurd that Talon burst into laughter. Hardly! I would rather every dragon be banished from Krynn. Yana was now stirring a paste in a bowl and applying it to some fresh cloths. From the smell of it, it was the same flowers Talon had used earlier to treat herself and Smil. Was that the evening before? It seemed like an eternity. Are you one of the heirs of Yuma? Yana asked. We've seen your kind before. I am. My friends and I travel about Solamnia, seeking other people who would like the dragons to leave. Why on Krynn would you want the dragons to leave? Yana said. This village wouldn't be standing were it not for the actions of a gold dragon. Yana looked out the window at the town. We were occupied during the war. Draconians and goblins used this town for barracks. We were forced to work for them, slaving day and night. Then Fari, a gold dragon, came and liberated us. Yana finished tying a bandage around Talon's burned wrist with a flourish. You do the dragons a great disservice by trying to get them to leave. They deserve a place in this world, even the evil ones. We got along just fine for thousands of years without the dragons. The heirs of Huma only wish that they returned to their homeland. Yana sniffed. One of your followers from Forest Edge came here seeking members. He was laughed out of the town gates. You might want to keep a low profile here. No recruiting. Don't worry, Talon muttered. As soon as Samil and I heal, we'll be on our way. Yana softened. Don't rush off. You've done us a great service, letting us know of the Draconians. I just think you should reconsider your mission. Yana went to the table and looked at the herb jars Malott had opened. She shook her head. He forgot the garlic. Will you be all right by yourself for a moment? I'll come back and make you some soup. I'll be fine. Talon lay back on the simple but comfortable cough. I won't be long. Yana walked to the door, then turned back. Even Huma loved a silver dragon. Talon's head whipped toward Yana. What did you say? but the woman had left, swinging the door shut behind her. And that be the end of chapter 10 or 11. Bye.